Hello everyone. This video is on where the world is headed and how nothing can hide. And when we evolve as a species or as a planet, any imbalances in the system need to be rebalanced. They need to come out and be seen. So nothing can hide. The imbalances in the system are shown to us. Look, there's some dysregulation here. Look, there's some imbalances here. What would you like to do about it? Well, the first thing is the seeing of the imbalance. And often people get annoyed. They don't want to see the imbalance. They want to pretend the imbalance doesn't exist or get angry that there's an imbalance or just argue with one another about the fact that there's an imbalance, or one person says there's not an imbalance and the other says there is an imbalance, and the arguing itself creates an imbalance. But we can feel it because we're connected to a collective consciousness. So we can feel in our physiology imbalances in the system. And the world can start to de-stress. This happened during COVID, where everybody was having a near-death experience and contemplating dropping their bodies or struggling with loss of income or insecurity around what would be happening and fear. There was a lot of fear in the collective that we tapped into, and we're still recovering from that and coming to terms with it. It was a very enlightening experience, but we're still getting enlightened from it. And there are imbalances in the system, there are stresses in the system, and those stresses are coming out to be seen and to be felt and to be processed. And the theme of next year, the theme of what's going on is nothing can hide. Nothing can hide. There's nowhere for the stress to hide. There's no covert places. There's no pulling the wool over people's eyes. There's no pulling the wool over your own eyes. The stresses and ignorances and imbalances in your own system are going to be shown to you. They can be shown to you through big emotions. They can be thrown to you through thoughts that you don't want to have, that you're worried about. They can be shown to you through things that are occurring in your life that are blowing up, and in organizations that are no longer working, and governments that are no longer working, in relationships with other people and friends and family that are no longer working. They can be shown to you in a multitude of ways, and you know, okay, there is a lesson here, there is something I can learn from this, and I must be strong and have the courage to know that something good is happening. The stress is exiting, it's leaving the system. When we're sick, we basically vomit a lot of the time, don't we? We kind of get rid of the toxins, and that's good. And so the world's kind of vomiting out all of its ignorance for the world to see, for it to be processed. Nothing can hide. Organizations are vomiting. People are physically sick and actually vomiting. There's these emotional releases. I'm speaking to people and I'm feeling it in the collective myself, that there is a de-stressing going on, and that's good. It's a good thing. And once the stress is exited, the balance will return. And so for those of us who are inclined to be yogis or meditators or on a spiritual path, the key is not to freak out and to start gossiping and complaining and and getting into a fearful place and worrying or posting a lot online about negative things or ruminating. The key is to be para, is to be still when everything else is in chaos. To be still when everything else is in chaos. Stillness in chaos. And the more people that are still in the chaos, the faster that stress will exit and the quicker we will return back to calm. But if those of us who are inclined towards a meditative path, towards a spiritual path, start to freak out, that is going to take a lot longer. And yogis have to be able to see and hold space for things that we don't want to see or that are uncomfortable to be seen. And hold space in a compassionate, non-judgmental, patient way. And so we see things, we're able to see suffering, we're able to see imbalances, we're able to stay grounded, and also not pointing the finger, not shaming people, not being angry with people, because when stress exits human physiologies, humans freak out. They do things that they wouldn't do if they weren't so stressed out. They say things. They blow things up. They develop disorders. They become out of balance, so much so that they can be destructive and dangerous to be around. But even though they can be destructive and dangerous people to be around, we don't have to think that we're better than those people. We have to have compassion. Because even if we're not acting out to such a great degree that we're actually doing hugely terrible things, we still have that capacity to be destructive, even though it might be kept in bay, because there are different mechanisms. There are destructive mechanisms, there are balancing mechanisms, and there are evolutionary fast-moving mechanisms. And we have the ability to tap into each, and we have those all contained within ourselves. They're called the three gunas. And we want those three gunas to be in balance. We want the balance. We don't want to get rid of destruction altogether, because that would create an imbalance. We don't want homeostasis forever. That would create an imbalance. We don't want never-ending, fast-moving growth. That would create an imbalance. We want all three to be balanced. And so, in moments in time, things get out of balance and things rebalance. And that's just part of life. Things get out of balance and they rebalance. That's the way the whole ecosystem works. But then sometimes when we fall into our limited natures, we can get angry with things when they get imbalanced and think, well, they shouldn't be getting imbalanced. No, the system is designed to have imbalances and then correct itself to have imbalances and then correct itself to have imbalances and then correct itself. That's just the way it's designed, so we don't need to have an argument about it. We can just notice there's an imbalance and then rectify it. And the quickest way to rectify an imbalance is to return back to calm. To not believe the thoughts as facts, especially if they're negative, and return to calm. Excuse me. Sometimes when we get sick, it's saying, There's an imbalance. You work too hard. You stayed out in the cold too long. There's always things that show you when you're out of balance. So if I stay too long in the park and I get really, really damp, then my body might be like, and give me a flu or a cold. And so we have to listen to our bodies. We have to listen to other people. We have to listen to the environment. And we have to kind of negotiate with it and always kind of follow the simplest middle ground so that things can remain in balance. I ate too much sugar over Christmas time, got out of balance, felt a little sick. It's okay. Things are always going to rectify. It's just we don't want to push, 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 push and stay out of balance for too long because then you can get really unwell or very dysregulated, which is common sense. And so what I've noticed is happening is that as the vibe on the planet is getting higher, people are able to know much earlier when things are out of balance in themselves or in their relationships or in society. They're just more sensitive because the vibe on the planet's higher. And that's a good thing. So if you're sensitive and you're noticing things are out of balance, that's okay. Returning to calm and setting an example. Being calm in any imbalance, being calm in chaos. And it reminds me of some Carry On movie where there was bombs going off and I think the city was being blown up and there was this family that was just having dinner and going, "Pass the salt, please, darling." And there was like, and it's like, "Oh, that's a really nice gravy sauce that you made." And they were having this beautiful, elegant dinner when everything was just getting blown up. And that's like being para in chaos. I think I can't remember which Carry On movie it is. If there's any older people who've watched Carry On movies like me, you can write in the comments box which Carry On movie that was. And that's what I'm talking about. And in England, what did the Queen used to say? Keep calm and carry on. Keep calm and carry on.